whatever goal is trying to meet?
Yes.
Worked out okay?
We'll meet you downstairs, that's the goal.
And back in the
So
second
I
goal.
told you I would talk about collecting the no's, and this is an approach called a magic formula. One of the things that Mr. Carnegie did when he first started working with people is that his first job was that he was a public speaking coach at a YMCA in New York City. And at that point, he'd been an actor, and he realized that for a lot of people, the biggest fear they had was getting up in front of a crowd and giving a talk. And so he felt like there was a problem to solve. And it turns out, these days, who knows what the number one fear human beings have is today?
Public speaking.
Public speaking is actually number 2 these days. Close. It turns out that for some reason worldwide, the number 1 public fear is snakes. And right after that is public speaking, and number 3 is death. So, not sure why that is, but a lot of people really struggle with this. So Mr. Carnegie thought, well, what if there was a system that we could use and almost like patent that made it much easier to give a talk? Okay, and you've already seen a couple of examples of it today. In fact, I'm so sorry, your first name was?
Jackie.
Jackie. So Jackie gave an example of it earlier. It's just a sales story, right? It's often called a magic formula. And once you've learned the approach to the magic formula or the structure for that sales story or that magic formula, you'll see it in all sorts of weird places. Like, I don't know if, you know who Steve Jobs was? Yeah. Who's Steve Jobs? He was the CEO and founder of Apple. And he gave this famous talk at Stanford called the Stanford Commencement Address. Some of you may have seen that. And it was this incredibly impactful talk. Well, Steve was notoriously introverted. And so what he did to give himself more confidence is that he just used 3 Dale Carnegie magic formulas in a row. And that was his whole talk. And it was one of the most well-received stories, one of the most well-received commencement addresses of all time. So would you like to know how the magic formula goes?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you an example first, and then we'll break it down quickly, and we'll practice it at some point today ourselves as well. So when I said magic formula, you were going to remind me about?
Nose.
So in 2006, I was general manager of Cintas of Orange County. You know Cintas? Yeah. Cintas, the uniform people, right? So we're a Fortune 500 company, and my job oftentimes was to fix operations that were in trouble. I was what's called a turnaround manager. And so I would go to operations that weren't making money, or that were not growing fast enough, or that had serious issues with loss of business or customer service, and I would attempt to fix them. And a lot of times what would happen is that my job would be to shut them down if we didn't fix them. It was a hard job. I ended up letting go a lot of people over those 5 years that I was at Cintas. On the flip side of it, we ended up growing a lot of businesses, and the Orange County story is a story like that. And we grew it on the backs of individuals who were just incredible. So we would go out and we would look for people to perform on our sales team that were really special. And what I mean by special is that they had certain characteristics that made them really effective salespeople. Like a lot of you in here, a lot of times we would look for people who have historically played sports. Right? We would say we're looking for people who are humble, who are hungry, who are honest, and who are smart. Humble, hungry, honest, and smart. And if we followed that formula, oftentimes we would hire salespeople who were just incredible. Humble, hungry, honest, and smart. And so at this time, I was out interviewing people all the time, and we interviewed this young lady. Her name was Blair Spittler, and that's her real name, and you can see her on LinkedIn. Anyhow, when Blair first came to my office, she'd been up at UCSC, so UC Santa Cruz, and she was the captain of the female water polo team there. I think it's a club, but it was basically treated like a varsity sport up there. It was a big deal for them. So she was a phenomenal athlete, right? I mean, if you're the captain of a female water polo team, that's serious stuff, right? She was a really driven gal, the kind of gal that gets up in the morning at 4 a.m. and swims till 7:30 and then goes to class. Right? So when she came into my office the first time, I immediately knew this is the kind of person we're looking for. She was humble because she had that sports background. She was hungry. She really wanted to make some money. She wanted to make a difference in the world, and she knew that to do that, she needed money, right? She needed to be successful as a salesperson. So I interviewed her, loved her. Our sales manager interviewed her. I interviewed her. A couple of her colleagues had interviewed her, and we were so excited to make her an offer. We made her an offer. She came aboard, and we put her into this 90-day training program that we had at Cintas. Now, how many of you have ever been through a 90-day sales training program? That's a long program, right? My recommendation to you is not create a 90-day sales training program, because what we need to do is get people out in the field faster, then figure out what training they need, and then tune it up to what they're looking for. But that's what we had at the time. The rule was you couldn't pull somebody out of the training program once they were in. So 45 days into this, Blair's like, she walks by my office, she's like, hey, Brent, what's up? I'm like, hey, it's good to see you. She goes, am I ever going to get to sell in my territory? And I'm like, well, yeah, but you got to finish your program. So then 65 days, she comes in, she's like, hey, Brent, what's going on? I'm like, hey, Blair, good to see you. She goes, am I ever going to get to sell in my territory? Yeah, no worries. Settle down, Turbo. You're going to get it, right? 75 days, she's back in my office. She's like, hey, Brent, are you ever going to let me sell? And I'm like, absolutely. You got 15 days left. Hang tight, Tiger. We're going to let you loose in your territory. So she's literally chomping at the bit. And then we let her loose in the territory. And what do you think happened?
No focus. She's all over the place.
I heard, that was kind of what happened, right? So Blair, who was on fire, right, gets on the phones, she goes out and meets with people, and she's in my office 3 weeks afterwards. In fact, she's walking by my office outside like this. And I stop her, I'm like, hey, are you all right? She goes, no, I'm not okay. What do you mean? She goes, well, I don't think this job's for me. And I'm like, really? I mean, we gave you the assessment. You could be a phenomenal salesperson, right? We gave you the training. You're rocking the training. You're humble, hungry, honest, and smart. You're a 10 in all 4 of those categories. What's up? She goes, everybody is telling me no. And it sucks. Sorry, my timer's going off. Let me turn it off. Anyhow, I looked at her. I didn't really know what to do. I was the GM, so I did what GMs do. I called her sales manager, and I go, hey, Chris, you got to do something with Blair. We're about to lose her. So Chris calls Blair. I come walking down the office. I go into the office. There's Chris. He's talking with Blair, and Blair's listening to him intently. And Chris goes like this to me. I'm like, all right. I know when I'm not wanted, so I get out of the office. 2 weeks later, Blair's back on fire. She's walking by my office. She's like this. She's like, hey, Brett, what's up? Don't have time to talk now. I'm going to go close some deals. And I'm like, what could this guy have possibly said to her to completely change her attitude overnight? You know what he told her?
What?
She said, I'm going to quit. He said, I want you to go out and collect me 50 more no's. And then you can quit. And then I'll pay you for 2 weeks. Collect me 50 more no's. What do you think happened?
Yeah, yes.
That's our job. If you're not collecting no's, you're not going to get to yeses. And you got to be okay with it. Hear that? So when you start thinking about how maybe things aren't going perfectly right in your job, ask yourself how many no's you've collected. Once you start counting, I bet you'll get to a yes with just a few more no's. That's a magic formula talk. Now mine was a little bit longer and more drawn out than you need to make it, just to kind of add some dramatic flair to it. What was the point of the story?
Collect your silver lining.
Collect your nose, right? That's the action I want you to take. And what's going to be the benefit to you if you take that action?
Yes.
You'll get to yeses, right? Which is something that we can all get our heads around. What was the point? What was the story all about? What's the quick point of the story? Or sorry, what's the arc of the story?
Give up.
This gal, right? She's on fire. She doesn't give up. She tries. She's all down in the dumps, and then it snaps. Now, for what it's worth, Blair is now the executive vice president of Cintas Sales, right? So she's done okay. That one thing was a turning point for her. It can be a turning point for you as well. We'll talk about magic formulas a little bit more, but just so that you can understand just how impactful they are and the structure for them, they're listed on page 2.9. So just take a moment to make any notes to yourself here on page 2.9. We're going to practice those at the beginning of tomorrow. Can you imagine how powerful those stories would be if you were able to use them when you're talking to your customers? That's what we're talking about here. Making it into a sales story. Right? The story of when you helped a customer surprised you. Bless you. So take a moment to read through that, make any notes to yourself if you want. That's going to be our first assignment. We're going to have a magic formula talk ready when we come in tomorrow. Good. You'll notice it points out that you want to spend 90% of your time telling the story, because that's the fun part for people. And then make your action really succinct, concise. Collect the notes. And make the benefit really succinct. And you'll get to yes. Good. So that's that one. We'll come back. That'll be our first thing that we'll open with tomorrow morning to kind of get the blood flowing and get shaken loose. Each of you will be giving a magic formula talk. So that's your first assignment. All you have to think about is what's the action you want people to take and what's a good story that reminds you of that action. The fun part's the story, so spend your time on that. So now we're back on page, we went to 213, which was voicemails. What group was that? Unscripted voicemails? Okay, that was awesome. Let's give them a quick round of applause again. And then on the next page is 214, and it's email follow-ups. Who was that? That was this group here, right? So who's going to be presenting from this group? Okay, let's give Mike a round of applause. Are we going to have Danny as well? Yeah, Danny. Let's nominate somebody if you want. So Danny, let's have him stand up. Sorry, what's going on? Tell us what this is all about, what you want us to do.
Yeah. Okay, so the premise of our story was we're trying to email a dealer after getting voicemail numerous attempts, which we can all relate to. So we wanted to start our email off with a strong subject line to catch their attention.
Please feel free to take notes on your pages about this.
They don't know who we are, or in this case, or maybe they have very minimal knowledge. So like a strong subject line would be your partner in non-prime lending. Something that's going to grab their attention, right? What's going to get him or her to open the email. Then we wanted to address the dealer. The very first sentence, we wanted to start out by acknowledging that we've been trying to reach them by phone, but we were unable to, right? So then in the body, we were going to introduce ourselves. That's where we're going to talk about CPS. And one of the sentences we came up with would be that we're a nationwide subprime, non-prime lender with the ability, and again, we want to tell them what we can do for them to help them save time on deals, make them more money on the deals, and which would ultimately help them sell more cars. So that was going to be the body. Then we wanted to have a strong call to action where we would recap things. One of them, the call to actions would be, call me to further discuss the many ways I can help you increase sales with our 8 proven programs. So we want to have a strong closing on that. And that was it.
Awesome.
So we came up with.
So do you have like an email, an actual email that you might write to somebody?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so it would be, hello, Mr. or Mrs. Dealer. I've been unable to reach you by phone, so I'm sending you this email. I'm a nationwide subprime and non-prime lender doing business in your area with the ability to help you save more time, make more money, and sell more cars.
Sounds good.
Call me to further discuss the many ways I can help you increase sales with our 8 proven programs. I even added an additional blurb, and this is just depends on who you are and your writing style, but I'd like something with a little more urgency. So I'd say something like, with the upcoming tax season around the corner and 2017 on its way, I want to make sure you have all your lending needs being met to start your year off right. Something to that effect, right?
So we can fill their void.
Yeah, exactly. Or be a niche, or whatever.
Let's give them a round of applause. So let's give some feedback to Danny and Mike. And what do you think? How would we tweak that? What ideas did you like? What's your recommendation, or or what part did you really like of their system?
The call to action at the end. It's huge. Tax season.
Yep.
What does the call to action sound like again? Could you read that to us one more time, Danny?
You got it. So we were saying to call me to further discuss in many ways I can help increase your sales with our 8 proven programs. So we're addressing the fact we have 8 different programs for them. And then with the upcoming tax season around the corner in 2017 on its way, I want to make sure you have all your lenders in place.
You like that? Okay. So one tweak that sometimes people come up with here that can help is say, call, instead of call me, I'll call you again Tuesday at 2 o'clock, or let me know a better time. Right? So you could try something like that. That might help. But you guys came up with a great piece of feedback early on. How long should this thing be?
Short.
How short?
Like 3 sentences.
Short to the point.
Yeah.
Like 3 paragraphs,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
very tight ones, right?
Yeah,
Like
very tight.
maybe 3 decent-sized sentences and we're done. Why is it so important that it be short?
Too long, they won't read it.
So it's short, it's a strong call to action. Too long, they won't read it. Any other tips or comments for this group?
I always put call today. I always make it today.
Nice.
Because if it's tomorrow or next week, it's gonna be buried in my other emails.
Sure, call for immediate action, right?
There you go, yeah, call me now. Or I'll call you next Tuesday, I'll call you Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Right, something like that. Call me today's great, I'll call you. My suggestion here is this. There have been books and books and books written about email marketing, right? Seen some of these things?
Yeah.
The only way to get really good at it is to
Do it.
do it, right? So try some different things, think about it, put your head into it, and that's how you get the biggest bang for your buck. Makes sense?
Yes.
Let's give them another great big round of applause. On page 215 are the top 9 Dale Carnegie principles that were also in your golden books. Let's just take a quick 30-second commercial break. Read through these 9 principles. Circle the one that's going to help you the most. And when you've got it, look up. I can't believe I called you Eric last week. You were so nice not to throw something.
I get called a lot of names on YouTube.
Nosy looks like a Viking.
You kind of do have the Viking thing. You like the Viking part.
I
So
do.
it's Chris the Viking. Yeah.
And that movie is criminally underappreciated.
Thank you for that.
Circle.
Fonz, what'd you circle?
Number 7, be a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves.
Why'd you circle it?
Because people like to talk about themselves.
Fair enough. Let's give her a round of applause. Ray, what'd you circle?
7.
What? And 7 is
Same one.
same one. Why'd you circle it?
Because if you are able to ask high quality questions and shut up, most times a customer will tell you what you need to know to sell.
Yep.
Round of applause for Ray. Damien, what'd you circle?
I did 7 also, but I can pick a different one.
You don't have to pick a different one. Why'd you circle 7?
Because of the same thing, people like to talk about themselves.
How many of us circled 7? Holy moly. You know, there's 8 others. That's a good one, right? 7 is a very good one. Okay, awesome. So if you just focus on that one, I think your selling will make some quantum leaps forward. Let's turn to page 216. If you flip into 218, you have gatekeeper. Which group has a gatekeeper? Okay, that's Corey's group in the back there. So Corey's group, who's going to be presenting from your group? Okay, let's have those 2 folks stand up. Who is it again? I'm sorry, I didn't get your first name.
Yotzi.
Yotzi? Okay, sorry about that. And Yotzi and Michelle, let's give Yotzi and Michelle a round of applause. Oh, we're just going to see a demo. I love it. Let's see how it goes.
Ring, ring. Happy holidays, dear Beauty Kinley. How may I help you? Hi, good afternoon. This is Yotzi with CPS. Can I please speak to Mr. Jones? CPS, who's CPS? Consumer Portfolio Services.
Mr. Jones, we have like 3. You're gonna have to be more specific.
Oh, I'm sorry. Steve Jones?
Steve, and your name is
Yotzi?
Yotzi from
CPS.
CPS. Yeah, 1 second. I'll transfer you now.
Thank you.
She was so nice. Let's give her a round of applause. Before we let these 2 ladies sit down, let's see if we can turn up the heat on them. How would you turn up the heat? Screen them?
Yeah.
So screen call.
Yeah.
So let's see how that goes. And Jonathan says, a way to screen is, would you please tell me what this call is in reference to? So let's see how that goes again. When you're ready, ring, ring.
Ring, ring.
Happy holidays to you, for your family. This is Michelle. How may I help you?
Hi, Michelle, good afternoon. Can I please speak with Mr. Jones?
Mr. Jones, you'll have to be more specific, ma'am.
Steve Jones.
And this is in regards to what?
I'm calling from CPS. We're one of the available lenders, and I need to speak to him regarding a deal.
Is he expecting your call?
Yes, he is.
Okay, and this is in regards to what again?
A deal. He just submitted an application, and I need to speak to him.
I do believe it's with the customer. Can I take a message?
Sure.
No, you have
Let's give him a round of applause. Ready? Keep trying to sit down, but you can't sit yet. You're an awesome gatekeeper. I know it's fun. So let's talk about this for a second. What's going right that Yossi's doing?
Positive.
Okay, so she knows who she wants to talk to. What else is going right?
Her tone. She used the name.
She shifted her tone, didn't she?
Yeah.
Did you notice a shift in tone?
Yeah.
What happened?
She mirrored.
There was some mirroring, right? So the person was being direct with her, she was being direct right back, right? What else is she doing well?
She used her name to address her, so she likes listening to her name.
Ah, she used the gatekeeper's name. What a great point. Using it and being respectful of the gatekeeper is important, right? A lot of times we beat the crap out of gatekeepers, and instead we're going to argue, let's make them our friends, right? Let's be close to the gatekeeper, let's make them good friends, okay? Trusted allies. Now, what's one piece of advice for Yossi? Go for it, Alex.
Well, I would say if they try and tell you, they're with a customer right now, I'd say, well, this application just submitted over. I think that's the customer that they have in the office, and that's why I was giving a call. So.
Right, so kind of making it really matter of fact and creating some more urgency. We could do that. It's a great way. Something else that we suggest Yossi try. Go for it.
Well, I'm sorry. Sorry. I think to say thank you when she offered to take a message, to thank the gatekeeper, because that's going to assure that your message is actually going to get delivered.
So really
and
being
possibly
polite,
a priority.
Being polite and grateful will help us there. Saying thank you, absolutely. Anything else?
As for someone else, if that finance person.
Oh, yeah, we could go to somebody else. Oh, I also have an application in progress for this person, right? Something like that. Let's try, Yossi, you can use whichever of those suggestions you want. Let's see how it goes one more time, incorporating at least one of the suggestions you heard from your colleagues here.
Ring, ring.
Happy holidays. This is Michelle. How can I help you?
Hi, Michelle, good afternoon. Can I please speak with Mr. Jones?
Mr. Jones, you'll have to be more specific, ma'am.
Steve Jones.
Steve, yes, and this is in reference to?
He just submitted a deal over. I need to speak to him.
You know what? I'm looking at his office right now. I do believe he has customers. Can I take a message?
No, if you don't mind, Michelle, it's really important. It's regarding the customer he just submitted over. It might be the customer he has in his office.
I tell you what, I do have Brad available. Can I transfer you to him?
Brad, is he in finance as well?
Yes, he is.
Sure, I'll take Brad.
Let's give him a round of applause. What do we really like about Yossi's approach here?
Friendlier.
Nice and persistent, right? And what was that? What did you see back there?
Friendly.
She was friendlier, right? So it's interesting because the shift in tone doesn't have to get mean. It can stay friendly. We can still be friendly and just a little bit pushy, right? And so sometimes friendly and just a little bit pushy will get it done. Make sense? So you